So the thing I prepared for you today is related to the explore page. So let me explain. The idea is that a lot of you are familiar with the official Cuttle templates. So like if I go to the templates here, we have a bunch of the templates that the Cuttle team has put together, or sometimes other people have, but we kind of call those the official templates. But there is also this explore page. And so when you click on it, there are two ways to look at it. Like the first one that comes up is the project that have photos. And then there's another way to look at it, which is the latest projects that have been shared. And so this came up because on Facebook, somebody asked this question. Is there some Halloween fun Halloween stuff? And looked by me missing. And then Diana really nicely said, "Did you look at the members explore section?" And she actually shared something cool. So I wanted to show you how to share things. And I also wanted kind of to look at the explore section and kind of highlight some projects and some ideas. So now that I mentioned these pumpkin and candy corn, let's look at the explore. And it's right here is this candy corn magnet. So if I click on it, I can see that it was shared, and you can, change the text. Happy Halloween. I don't know if you can say Merry, but I'm gonna say Merry Halloween, and you can see it updates, and you can even change the candy size. So it's a really nice template, and this was submitted by a member. So just like you can, anyone can submit one of these. So let's see how to do it. I want to show you just how to do it and give you some hints or some ideas for sharing it, and then we'll look at some particular projects that I kind of liked. So I'm going to open just my own projects page here in Cuttle. And so I just created this little funny cat, and there is nothing particularly special about this one. It's just an SVG without any like parameters or anything to change. And so it's kind of like the bare minimum I would want to share. So I have this funny cat. I actually did go ahead and cut one because I thought it would look fun. So I actually made this little guy out of paper. So I don't know. I like showing the stuff being made. So that's the funny cat. And in order to share it, the bare minimum I can do is to go here to the README, which is this section where I can like put notes and comments for for my own project. And I think the nicest thing to do is to simply go ahead and I could simply add a description. So for example, I could say this is my funny cat. And that would be like the bare minimum I could do. So if I hit share, and there are three options here. There is private, unlisted, and public. So the difference is that if it's private, only you can see the project, so there is no link to share. Unlisted, it creates a link that can be shared with anyone via email or text, but it doesn't really appear in the explore page. But if I make it public, it should immediately appear. So let's go back to the explore. And so it's not going to appear here on the main section. It's going to appear on the latest. So you can see here is my funny cat. So we kind of want to privilege projects that have pictures on them. And so that's why we create the projects with photos is the thing that appears there first. So so let's see. If I were to open this project right here, you'll see that I don't get very much as a user. If you were to look at it, I just get this little description here. So I think it's nice to do a couple of things: add a picture, add a description, and maybe even embed a component so you have an easy download. So let's make those changes. So I'm I'm gonna go back here to the project view. And so the first thing I can do is add the component. So I'm gonna, whenever I'm typing here, I get this prompt. And so if I add a component, I just have this single cat component. And then I actually wanna add a picture. So I'm gonna click image, and I just took a quick picture. It's not the greatest picture, but it's there. It's my paper funny cat. And now, in order for it to really appear on the Explore page again, I need to go to share and publish this version, because as you're making changes, it doesn't immediately publish things. You have to republish every time. So if I publish this one, and now I go back to the Explore page, I should see in the projects with photos, now I have my funny cat showing up there. And then the first text that I write is the text that shows up on this section right here. So if I click on it, now you can see that I think it's a little bit more friendly to anyone like kind of looking to download this SVG, because they get the picture, they get the funny cat, and then they get the button to download the SVG. So you can basically share anything, even if it's just like a plain SVG file. And then, of course, if you start adding parameters to make it more complex and customizable, it might be more friendly to other users. So I'm gonna do that just to show you, and then we'll look at other projects by other users. One thing that happened to me when I was making this project is that I made my basic cat, and I went ahead and cut it. And I think it was just way too small. So let me show you. Like, this was the first one I cut. I thought it was like really tiny. And so I thought, well, I want to make it a little bit bigger. So I ended up making a bigger one as a default. And so maybe I thought that would be like a nice thing to like offer, whoever is downloading this funny cat. So I'm gonna go back here to my project, and I'm gonna go to the cat. And I think I just want to make it scalable. And so I have it right here. Oh yeah, so I just added these like scale parameters. So that just changes the scale of the whole thing. And so what I could simply do is go ahead and extract it as a parameter. It can be named scale, that's fine. And then I'm gonna move it to the project parameter. And if I look at the README, now I get this scale. So you can change the scale of the project. I think a lot of these parameters are just sort of self-evident if you have a name for them. Like, the user can simply like play with it and see what happens. But sometimes it is nice to give people more of a hint. So you can always click on the three dots, and there's an option to add a comment, and you can just write anything that you want. So I could write something like this: changes the scale of the cat. So I can see it right there. That changes the scale, is working properly. And then, of course, I need to publish it again. Every time I make any change that I'm kind of happy with, and I want to have everyone see it. So now if I reload this page, I should see the same project, and now it has that scale parameter. And one last tip for sharing projects. So the thing that you can do is you can see that right here there is this little arrow, and that is pointing that means that this is the thing that people download. When I was cutting these, because I give it a black fill, my laser cutter wanted to do an engraving operation. So I think it would be nice to have a version that is not engraved, that is just the outline. So I'm just gonna get another component. I'm gonna call it the cut. And I'm just gonna kind of drag the original one here. And for the fill, I'm gonna give it no fill, which is that kind of cross line there. But I actually wanted to have a hairline stroke, so I'm gonna just keep it like that. It could even be red to distinguish it. And so I have two components. They're basically versions of the same object. And so in the README, when you're making a component, like, there is this little plus sign that says add a component. And so if you add your component there, I'm going to add the cut. And something to know is that, like, you can see now that the cut is the one that has the little arrow. So that's what people would get if they hit download on the SVG. You can also customize what kind of download they can get. You can change here. Maybe you want them to download a different type of file. You can choose that, or even hide the download button if you don't want to show it. But I want them to download an SVG. I'm going to publish it again, and then I'm going to see what it looks like to people. Let's reload that. And so now people get to see, just the black cat as I intended, but like when you hit download, you would be downloading this component right here. So that's like just organization and like presentation of your projects. But now let's look at the Explore page. So because I wanted to kind of highlight some cool stuff. So we looked at the candy corn magnet. Another thing you should know is that whenever you see a project, you'll see that the username appears right here. So if you click on that, you'll get to see what that user has also published. So that's just like a way to navigate. Like, often people that publish other projects, a cool project, they're likely to publish more. So actually, I really like this project because I looked at this ornament string add-on. So it's really neat because it complements an existing project. And it's very simple to use. I really like this kind of very simple but to the point, because here you can just change, choose any emoji that you want, so you can engrave it, and then you can change the size of the emoji so it looks good, and then even the position. So it's like straightforward and to the point. And I actually went ahead and cut one of these because I thought it was fun. It's very cute. It's very tiny. So yeah, I engraved it and cut it out of this like light maple. It's nice. It's like useful, simple, and to the point. I really like it. And the way you would use it is that you would place it as a additional decoration to the hanging. In fact, in this example, they use probably a score. I went ahead and engraved that paw, but so that's one. I think it's really nice. The other one I wanted to look at, let's go back to the Explore page. I could close these already. Also related to the username that I just mentioned, when I click on the username, you'll see that the URL up here also has the username. So that's another way of like linking to your sort of like page. So if I were to write simply my username, which is Federico, that also, oops, sorry about that. I did it wrong. So that should just go to my profile page. So I got my profile and all the projects I've made public. But let's go back to Explore. Another project that I found that I really liked, let's see. I was kind of looking through these. And look at this one. This is a top. So let's open it up. So this is cool because there is this like top, and as you can see, this one, Hassan, who made this one, didn't embed the component on the thing, so you have to open the editor. But once I opened that, I had all the things I needed. So the thing I did is I changed the diameter of the top to 2 inches because I wanted it a little bit smaller, and I changed the material thickness to the birch that I had, which was specifically 0.122. And here I just went ahead and hit download and downloaded my SVG like that. And I actually cut that one. I think this is a cool project. Check this out. So you get these two parts, and then you get that one with the spiral that gets, that gets scored as a decoration. And so the way it comes together is you slot these two like that, really nice with a rounded point right here, and then you slot it onto these. And because I got the material thickness and the curve kind of dialed in, should kind of click in nicely. And there it is. It just rides onto this point, and I think the size of the handle is like sufficient for, making it spin nicely. I think it's a really nice project. So thank you, Hassan, for that one. I don't know. It really cuts in like 30 seconds or something, and it makes like a fun, quick toy. It might be a good, maybe like a scrap buster project. So anyway, that one was fun. Also found on the explore page. And then, of course, you can always see what else. Let's go back here. You can always see what else Hassan has shared. He has a bunch of cool stuff. Notice that, like, there are more projects that he has shared. Like the top had a picture, so I kind of like saw it immediately. But sometimes there are some hidden ones that you can see because they have no pictures, but they're still really interesting projects. There is another one. So I was looking through things. I mean, the ones I chose to make were just kind of interesting to me, but or like I had time to make them. But there is like more cool stuff to do. So, for example, there is this one that I like because Donna had these ornament projects. Actually, let's go look at her profile, their profile page. So they had this Christmas tractor. And so what I noticed just by looking at it is that it is a remix of the circular name Ornament. You can see it up here. So the original project that the Cuttle team made looked like these, but you can always do your remix. And this is a great one because it added the tractor, and then you can still change the outer text, which is really cool. I guess I could have it as mid Christmas, and it's really nice. So it has the front and the back, and then I was noticing that they did other projects. Let's go back to the profile page. Like, for example, I love this the ballet shoes ornament, and looking at it, it looks like they did it from scratch. So you can like change the name here and then download it. I didn't make one of these, but I think it's kind of worthwhile looking at as an example of a cool ornament. One that I did make that was kind of fun. I found this felt basket because I guess we really steer towards like wooden things. And so I really wanted to try this one. So it was, you can choose the width and the height and the depth. And this is one of those examples where like is fairly readable and straightforward what happens when you change any of these things. So you don't necessarily have to add a lot of comments. That's the depth. The margin, yeah, I can sort of guess what the margin is doing. Anyway, I can just get it to the default. I just kind of went ahead and downloaded the default version of these. So it cuts flat, and then I assembled it. This is just like plain craft store polyester felt. So I think it's kind of neat because let me disassemble one of these edges. I like that it uses this kind of assembly method where you close these two sides up, then you kind of thread these tab through both, but then the tab itself, let me thread it carefully here. But then the tab itself becomes like the handles of the basket. I think it's neat. It's a material that doesn't get like sort of displayed very often, but I think it makes a nice little basket. Um, I guess this one is heavily dependent on the area that you can cut on your laser cutter. Let me flatten this up. Um, Also, I noticed that Brian, who made this project, used a thicker felt than I had. But like, this is kind of like the full area of the thing. So, roughly letter size or so. I don't know, cool project. Looking at the reference picture that Brian made here, it looks like it's much thicker felt than I used. But I think it's cool that, you can make it out of this floppy polyester felt. I chose a slightly boring color, but you can probably choose something better. I guess it's kind of Halloween themed. You can put candy in the thing. Brian has some cool projects if I look at his profile. Um, and I think people have been sharing both stuff that can be cut, which there is a lot of. I think there are also some like kind of more obscure things that are like also fun to look at or maybe usable in your projects. So for example, let's see. I think Hannah makes really cool, useful stuff. Both cool and useful. So let's look at Hannah's profile. So for example, she just posted this animation, which is kind of an elaborate project. So it was a way of making this flipbook animation. I think this one you have to kind of read carefully into it, but like there are kind of cool instructions, and then I can see that she added this parameter to like animate this kind of sketchy, cool seagull, and then a way to download the SVG so she could cut it and make it. This one is elaborate but kind of cool. But Hannah has made other like more practical ones, like there are these calibrators for selecting holes. And then one that I kind of wanted to display, which is it's a little obscure, but I find it very charming because I think it's basically a Cuttle poem. It's a bit like a comic that she wrote, a comic poem, where like it's really meant to be interacted with on the screen. It's not necessarily a laser cutting project, but it's like, sometimes people like really take the tool and do things that are unexpected. So for example, like, as you scroll down, there's this hungry body with a hungry heart, and then you can sort of change the level of hungriness. So I guess you get twisted as you get even more hungry. And this was, hungry bodies with hungry hearts. So you can add more bodies. I don't know, it's like a kind of weird interactive poem. These are multiples. So anyway, it kind of turned Cuttle into a sort of poetic screen toy, which is kind of fun. There are, of course, more useful things too. Like I saw this slide box with small tabs, which is also nicely documented. It has pictures, it has the comment, and then you can, change the width and the height. So this one operates very much like, let me see, is this a remix? Yeah. So this is a remix of the closed box with finger joints, but it's a fairly elaborate remix and like kind of useful. I guess it has this kind of like Matchbox style type of thing. And there's some cool papercraft projects. I particularly like this Christmas heart. It's very simple, but very charming. So it has some instructions, and this is one of those where like I would suggest that they add the component to the README, because in this case I have to open it in the Cuttle editor, and then I read the instructions, and basically you just need to cut 2 of these, and then you weave them together. actually, it's a good opportunity to show you that like sometimes you are looking at a project and you might want to just grab a piece of it and use it in your own project. So you can do that even without copying the project. Like I'm gonna leave this project open, and I can always say, hey, I like this shape. I wanna make a different version of it. So I can always, say open a new project on my own. I'm just gonna create a blank project to show you, and you can kind of go to the ones that you're looking. Let's go back to the Christmas art, and you can like copy things. So I'm gonna select that. I'm gonna say copy, and I'm simply gonna go ahead and paste it here. And it will paste it so that I can like carry on with doing things. So I think that might be useful sometimes when you're like, say, you want to grab like a decorative element from somewhere else and like kind of reuse it. So you can like copy and paste. Not only you can also copy and paste components. So and they will come with all their kind of attributes, which is kind of cool. So I also like K makes from Clever Someday made this really cool cow tag. I think this one is a cool example of using just a flat project. Like, look at this. This is the flat cow, and then you take advantage of like both, having contrasting colors on both sides of the material. In this case, she used leather, and so it kind of falls in a cool way to create this really cool little cow. And so you can see how she used a component here for the preview, and then the one that you download is just the flat, single layer version. I think this one is be fun too. I don't see that as many leather or like fake leather projects. So yeah, I think that's a good like summary. So hopefully I want to encourage you to share your projects. Even if they're super simple, sometimes like simple assets that have no, say a bunch of parameters that you can change, that they're not super sophisticated, they're still useful to someone else if you're willing to share it. And then as you grow in your kind of making journey, you can share even more complex projects if you want. You can add parameters and add documentation. Speaking of one of those. And of course, remixes are also welcome. Like, for example, I was noticing that. So yeah, now that you kind of get a sense for what this looks like, when I look at the latest, there are a lot of people that share stuff that it's a little redundant and like there is no context for it. But if you look through these, sometimes there are like some good finds. I was thinking about this one. Somebody made this Christmas cash holder, which is basically, let's see, it is a remix of the graduation cash holder that we made with Cuttle. But they changed it enough. They added a Santa hat. And so I think this is cool too. It's nice to have the remixes that are like, they fit other people's needs. Cool. So thank you for watching again. Share your projects, add a picture, add a nice description, and see what other people have been making. I think Cuttle has this kind of sharing platform kind of thing going on that I think is kind of cool and useful. And I'll see you in the next one. All right. Happy Halloween. Bye.